And we are now recording.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's regional director meeting. A few housekeeping things, even if you were able to hear me now, we do have Spanish interpretation for this meeting, and in order to ensure you can hear everything in your preferred language of either English or Spanish, please look on your Zoom application and look at the language button. It should be at the bottom towards the middle right, and select either English or Spanish. And I'll wait a moment to have that message relayed in Spanish as well.
Hola, buenas tardes y gracias por acompañarnos hoy. Tenemos servicio de interpretación a través de Zoom.
Great. Okay, this meeting.
Sorry, I got interrupted there, but it's because I was in a different channel. Let me continue. De nuevo, gracias por acompañarnos. Tenemos servicio de interpretación sobre Zoom. En su pantalla hacia abajo van a ver un glóbulo que dice interpretación. Por favor, haga clic allí y escoja su idioma. Aunque vaya a escuchar en inglés, por favor, escoja el idioma que le va a permitir escuchar la audiencia. Gracias.
Thank you, Santiago. Okay, this meeting of the regional directors meeting is called to order. So first, we will start with reports from our regional directors. I know they gave some updates in this morning's public meeting, so I don't know if they have additional updates on activity relating to compliance, election, or outreach. I'll start with Region 1 and Jessica Arciniega. Jessica?
Hi, good afternoon, Chair Hasid and board members and guests in the public. I will start off by announcing that we have 2 new graduate legal assistants that have joined our Oxnard office today. And so if you see me talking, I'm talking to them. I'm going to turn my camera real quick. This is Kay Morales. Sorry, Kay. And this is Josefina Magaña.
Hello, my pleasure to meet you all.
They sat in on the board meeting this morning as well. So when I'm muted, if I'm talking, it's because we're talking here. Yeah, I shared some great outreach efforts that were happened these last 2 weeks in our region, up in Santa Maria, the LCO clinic with other state agencies, as well as a tour of a cannabis operator. And then down here in Ventura County, a tour at Good Farms with the Equitable Food Initiative. And then also a press conference and a labor caravan with state agencies and other community partners. And in terms of elections, there's no report from Region 1. And in terms of compliance matters, we have a new matter under compliance, which is Sinagro Farms. Very pleased that that was released to our region for compliance. And we're moving quickly on working with the employer and its council on complying with the board terms. And just to say, I'm very grateful for this panel and for the participants. ALRB was able to participate at the ground floor stage of the development of the Ventura County Farm Worker Resource Program. I want to just give an acknowledgement and gratitude to the General Counsel for allowing our participation, because it turned out, of course, I'm very biased, but it turned out to be a very effective and successful effort here in Ventura County. And I'm really grateful for the opportunity that we had to participate with stakeholders. And I'm excited to learn more about the other programs throughout the state. And thank you all for being here.
Thank you. And next, I'll turn to our regional director for Region 2, Yesenia De Luna. Yesenia, do you have any updates for us?
Good afternoon, Chair Hasid and board members and everybody that has joined us this afternoon. So no compliance report update. I submitted the report, the August report. I have no updates at this time to that. There is no election activity in Region 2 at this time. Let's see, outreach. I know I highlighted our presentation at CBDIO this morning. A couple other things that that have been happening recently. We participated in the Woodland community for a farm worker resource fair there. We also participated at a swap meet in the Central Valley on Labor Day, it's a big, busy day. And there's, farm workers come out because some of them have that day off. Tomorrow, upcoming events, let's see. So tomorrow is our bi-monthly KBBBF radio spot. We will be doing that, and that is the Sonoma Napa area. This weekend we will be at the UFW convention in Bakersfield. It's 3 days, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and we will be there tabling to pass out information. We have the Guelaguetzas coming up in the Central Valley, Fresno, Lamont in late September, early October. We're going to go all the way up to Tula Lake in Siskiyou County at the end of the month. Excited about that, to reach that community. And yeah, so those are some of the things coming up for us. I would like to take a moment to thank my staff for their dedication to the ALRB mission in the time that I have been regional director. We've never seen so many charges filed, which I'm very happy about. It means that we're out there in the community and people know to come to us, workers know to come to us, and that is a great thing. I am very happy to see my staff, everyone working so hard to move the investigations forward in a timely manner. Thank you.
Thank you. And we echo that gratitude, and had to laugh because this is probably the first time in over a year that there hasn't been election activity in Region 2. And we know that has kept you all very, very busy. So appreciate that work. We are now going to turn to our informational panel, and I'm so excited. Huge thank you to staff member Michaela for coordinating this panel. This 3.5 years ago, almost, my colleague, board member Broad, and I had the opportunity to visit the Oxnard area and get to talk with the Ventura County Farm Worker Resource Program Center staff, and we were just completely blown away by how impressive it was, how attuned the program was to meeting the needs of farm workers. I felt like Ventura, particularly during the COVID period, was always kind of on the leading edge of how best to be nimble and serve farm workers during this really scary time, and in a multitude of ways. And it was just so impressive. And so I was really thrilled when later there was legislation created by Senator Bennett, I believe, to give credit where credit is due, Assembly Member Bennett, AB 941, that was signed by Governor Newsom later that year, and it provided $2.5 million in funding for counties in a competitive program to develop their own farm worker resource center in a way that worked for them. It was called the Farm Worker Resource Center Pilot Program, modeled off of Ventura County, and it was developed in partnership with employers, workers, advocates, and local officials. 10 counties applied for these monies and 3 were awarded, and I'm so pleased that we have representatives from those 3 counties, Monterey, Santa Barbara, and Stanislaus, who were each given a little less than $1 million and 15 months to develop their own program. And I'm really thrilled that we get a chance to hear more about it, learn more about it. I see this as an amazing opportunity for the board and for our staff to learn learn from you all what worked, what can the state do to further support that work, what ways can we partner with you, or we develop similar best practices, and learn from your lessons learned so that we can be more effective. The longer I'm in government, the more I realize it's the county level that is make or break it for public service delivery. It really is. They're the ones who are, running critical social service programs, food bank programs, disaster relief, really directly in the community. And so I'm excited to get to learn from you today. We'll hear from all of our the pilot counties as well as Ventura. Our first two presenters or sets of presentations are from the Monterey and Santa Barbara programs. We will have from Monterey, Jennifer Rivas with the Monterey County Health Department, Adriana Santana with Mujeres en Acción, and Jessica Guzman Rodriguez with CBDIO. And then from Santa Barbara, we'll have Julie Smedley and Chris Guerrero from the County of Santa Barbara. So first, I will turn it over to our Monterey County presenters. Take it away.
Awesome. And we'll dive right into it because we have very little time and a lot to share about our services through our FRC. My name is Jennifer Rivas. I'm a management analyst with the County of Monterey Health Department, and I was responsible for administering our Farm Worker Resource Center grant for the Monterey County. And I will be diving into a couple of areas of impact for our FRC, and also handing over the baton to our partners who were funded by our FRC grant to expand the services that they have already been providing to farm workers. And let me just double check, I could share my screen. I hope the slides are showing good on your end.
Yes, they look great.
Perfect. So as I mentioned, our Farm Worker Resource Center grant, we decided to allocate majority of the funding to our community-based organizations who have already been serving our farm workers in Monterey as a way to expand services and as well as expand personnel who are delivering these resources. Centro Binacional para el Desarrollo Oaxaqueño, Center for Community Advocacy, Mujeres en Acción were our partners in the service delivery, as well as Community Foundation for Monterey County. Together as a team, we delivered services in different areas that we'll dive in a little shorter. But just to set up what framework we used, the majority of the funding was allocated to uplift the work that it's already happening with our CBOs, and portion of that was to fund our county staff to also deliver work around these key areas. So as mentioned, our areas of focus including 6, which was health and human services, employment assistance and advocacy, emergency support services, labor and employment rights and legal services, financial assistance, and education access and support. This all looked slightly different for the different community-based orgs that we funded in terms of the delivery of topics around workshops, in terms of legal aid or mental health or connection to different resources, which Javier and Jessica will be talking a lot more about, as well as Adriana. So our programming started July of 2023, and that concluded in May 15 of this year. Within this period of time, we were able to serve a little bit over 29,000 individuals through various support services. We provided almost 40,000 direct services, and in this span, through the efforts of our team, we were able to deliver implement 866 outreach activities. This included workshops, tabling events, participating in health fairs, as well as dropping by field sites to deliver information and resources. Majority of the area that we provided the most support was under health and human services, as well as labor and employment rights. For health and human services, a lot of our community health workers provided Medi-Cal application support, connection to healthcare, connection to mental health services, assisting with, primary care appointments. And you'll hear from our partners other areas that we also assisted with. For labor and employment rights, Centro Binacional, I want to highlight the awesome work that they did in implementing workshops around labor rights, how to understand your checks, which they will, I'll let them share a little bit more about that. And as well, a connection to legal service and immigration services. So immigration services does fall under emergency support services. And that's an area where we did a lot of work in connecting with legal resources, with the consulate to make those appointments and to get some of those needs resolved. Here you'll see a map of our Monterey County, and each of those blue icons is where we have delivered our services. So we, at the end of the grant, a lot of the work was conducted in South County, Salinas, and North County. If you're familiar with Monterey County, these are the areas where we have a large percentage of our farm working population, and we wanted to make sure that we were providing a targeted approach to ensure that we are accessing or accessible to our farm workers who are coming in, who are coming out of work late in the afternoon or going into work early in the morning, and ensuring that we have strategic locations that we have our services available. We do have bilingual, multilingual staff within the FRC. We were able to deliver services in Spanish, English, Mixteco, Triqui, Zapoteco, and Chatino. As you can see on the screen, a majority of those who we worked with was in the Spanish language. As for our county health department, just to share a couple of projects and direct supports that we provided to our farm workers, we have a Medi-Cal specialist, Ana Vargas, who led our efforts in enrolling people into Medi-Cal. We also built a great partnership with Raider Farms, who invited us over to their ARC farms to be part of their health fairs and be able to reach our farm workers directly, which is one of the areas that we see as a success in terms of partnership building, but something that would be very helpful to see moving forward, right? We have our farm workers, I could say for my parents, they're going to work early in the morning, they're coming back late at night, and being able to catch them at a time where they're not tired, maybe where they can, connect with a member to discuss couple needs and get the information. So when they come home, then they could rest and then, enjoy time with family, and just a good time to be able to connect with them. But aside from that, so we also partake in different events throughout Monterey County, whether that be resource fairs, health fairs, or tabling through different events to share information about Medi-Cal and also assist people getting connected to services. We implemented the Harvesting Health series, Cosechando Salud, where we partnered with the Natividad, with our Natividad Hospital, and we brought doctors out into the community to talk about health. It's a great partnership that's still continuing to this day after the grants ended, through a different programming, and we really love to see the participation within these workshops, and also just the feedback of having that direct connection with the providers. And I'll pass it over to Mujeres.
And I'm not sure, is our presenter from Mujeres on mute?
Adriana, let's see.
Buenas tardes, yo estoy aquí. Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Adriana Santana y soy trabajadora comunitaria con Mujeres en Acción. Nuestra misión en Mujeres en Acción es crear espacios y oportunidades que impulsen el desarrollo del liderazgo y la autosuficiencia económica de las mujeres. Trabajamos con dos enfoques principales: ayudar a las mujeres a lograr sus metas o ofrece y desarrollar en el liderazgo. Contamos con grupos de apoyo que se reúnen una vez por semana y ofrecemos grupos en español, mixteco. Actualmente estamos en el condado de Monterrey y nos estamos expandiendo al condado de Santa Cruz. Durante el programa del Centro de Recursos para Trabajadores Agrícolas, tuvimos un gran alcance usando diferentes estrategias de alcance, como tocando puertas, llamadas comunitarias, alcance en lugares de trabajo y participaciones en eventos comunitarios. Algunos retos a los que nos enfrentamos, era, por ejemplo, el horario de las personas salían bien tarde de trabajar, entonces eso era un reto para ellos y teníamos que, buscábamos la oportunidad de estar ahí para cuando ellos salieran de trabajar, brindarles los recursos que ellos necesitaban. También estuvimos apoyando en diferentes situaciones de emergencia, por ejemplo, en las inundaciones. Estuvimos ahí yendo a apoyar qué recursos necesitaban y cómo podíamos ayudarles. Y gracias al Centro de Recursos para Trabajadores Agrícolas, logramos ayudar y conectar a las familias con los servicios que necesitaban dependiendo de sus necesidades. Y apoyamos a muchas familias. Entonces, gracias por este proyecto y me siento muy orgullosa de haber podido ayudar a muchas familias. Gracias.
Gracias, Adriana. Y ahora vamos a escuchar del Centro Binacional y sus proyectos bajo el FRC.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Jessica Guzmán y soy coordinadora del programa de justicia laboral con Centro. Can we go to the next slide, please? Un poquito sobre Centro. Centro fue fundado en 1993 para servir a las comunidades indígenas e inmigrantes en California. Next slide. Nuestra visión es lograr el bienestar, la igualdad y la autodeterminación de las comunidades indígenas y hacemos esto a través de desarrollar y fortalecer la participación cívica de nuestra comunidad. En el condado de Monterrey, es algo que nos gusta enfatizar es de que muchas veces las personas le dicen a las lenguas indígenas, los llaman por dialectos, pero es importante saber que estos son idiomas, no dialectos. En la comunidad del condado de Monterrey, ahorita sabemos que la comunidad indígena está por todas partes en el en el estado de California. Y hay una gran población en el condado de Monterrey y Santa Cruz, pero por ahora no hay un recuento preciso de la población. Un poquito sobre qué hicimos dentro de el Farm Worker Resource Center. Se hacía mucho alcance dentro de los campos. Íbamos directamente con los trabajadores cuando ellos están trabajando, porque creo que ya lo han mencionado, pero es muy difícil para ellos poder salir del trabajo e ir a buscar recursos, porque ya cuando salen del trabajo ya todo está cerrado. Nosotros vamos directamente a donde están ellos a darles esta información. Algo que hacemos dentro del programa de justicia laboral es que, y ahorita vamos a hablar un poquito más de esto, pero tenemos reuniones mensuales con los trabajos y a través de esas reuniones y a través del alcance identificamos casos de violaciones de su salario o otras condiciones laborales. Y también durante este alcance les damos información sobre cómo se pueden capacitar para ejercer sus derechos. Al igual damos servicios directos y les ayudamos a llenar aplicaciones de medical, licencia familiar renumerada y les ayudamos a agendar citas con agencias locales, también como con el consulado. Esto es solamente un poquito sobre los servicios gratis que damos en nuestras oficinas. Gracias al Farm Worker Resource Center, pudimos dar materiales gratis para la comunidad, que son materiales que ellos de veras ocupan. Dimos termos, calendarios y pañales. Si son familiares con la comunidad agrícola, saben que siempre se tienen que llevar su desayuno y su almuerzo desde la mañana. Por eso agarramos los termos para que tengan es un costo menos, es un costo que a lo mejor no es mucho para otra gente, pero creo que es algo que apreciaron mucho los campesinos con los que trabajamos. Y ahí tenemos una foto de todos ellos con sus termos y calentarios porque cuando capacitamos a los trabajadores, así les dejamos saber la importancia de documentar sus horas para identificar violaciones como de su break o que no le dan su almuerzo a tiempo. Y por eso también proveemos los calendarios y pañales. Son un poquito sobre nuestras reuniones comunitarias mensuales. Nosotros hablamos de temas como de robo de salario, importancia de documentar las horas del trabajo. En este 2024 tuvimos actualizaciones como las horas de enfermedad y el salario mínimo, entre otras. Durante estas reuniones también damos esas actualizaciones y en veces también colaboramos con otras agencias para poder que ellos vengan directamente a hablar con la comunidad. Nosotros ofrecemos interpretación en Mixteco, Triqui y Chatino. Esa foto de arriba era de cuando vino la comisionada laboral en Salinas y tuvimos interpretación en Mixteco y Chatino para la comunidad indígena. Aquí, pues en California sabemos que hay muchos, siempre hay como algún desastre natural y en este año en la comunidad de Brundale fue afectada por una inundación repentina donde varias personas completamente perdieron todo. Gracias al programa del Farm Worker Resource Center pudimos ofrecerles servicio inmediato, servicios de interpretación, ayuda monetaria y los pudimos conectar a otros servicios que da nuestra organización y servicios que dan otras organizaciones. Okay, yeah, that's it. Eso es todo. Gracias.
Thank
you so
you.
much. Thank you. Well, that's so exciting. And you all did a lot of work in a very short amount of time. We will have time for questions after our next presenter. So we'll go next to our presenters from Santa Barbara, and then we'll open it up for some questions for our first two groups of panelists. So Santa Barbara County, Julie and Chris, we'll turn it over to you.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. How are you? We're excited to be here. Thank you so much for the invitation. So my colleague, Caesar, actually will be sharing the PowerPoint, and then we'll get right into it.
Great.
And just a disclaimer, I've been having internet connection issues all day, so I've let Caesar know if I freeze, just take over so we can kind of keep it moving. But again, thank you so much. My name is Julie Smedley. I'm with the Santa Barbara County Workforce Development Board. I'm a program analyst with the team, and then my colleague Caesar, who's on with me, is actually our program coordinator for our Farm Worker Resource Center, Proyecto Campesino. Next slide, Caesar. So I wanted just to share with everyone before we begin kind of the meat of our presentation. We actually have a very talented colleague that joined us kind of during the implementation phase and while we were delivering services that took really amazing pictures of our farm workers, our agriculture employers. So as we go through the PowerPoint, a majority of those are all taken of our community members that are actually, working in our agriculture fields. So just a quick overview, we'll be providing some background of our project, overview of the work that we've done, our progress, some challenges, successes, sustainability, and then how we plan to continue our services. So like most of you all know, this was a grant-funded pilot program by the state of California, Health and Human Services Agency. We were one of three awardees. one of the words we really like to use at the Workforce Development Board is voluntold. And so the Department of Social Services actually applied for this project, and then after some discussion with management, we decided that it was best operated under the Workforce Development Board. So if you're not familiar with the Workforce Board, we primarily provide workforce services to youth and adult and dislocated job seekers that have barriers to employment. And so we have a little bit of the background providing a lot of the program referrals and connections to the different services in our county. So, you know, I like to tell our director that it really ended up in the right place. One of the things to highlight is this did require a 25% match. And so we had buy-in from our Board of Supervisors that provided the leverage through county funds. So that was exciting that we had their support. You can see our project term date. Again, it was a pilot program. We officially kicked off on July 23rd, 2023. As part of the requirement of the project, we conducted a needs assessment in partnership with our Santa Barbara County Public Health Department, where we conducted over 2,000 surveys in under 3 weeks. And so kudos to not only our partners in the Public Health Department, but we also engaged our workforce program operators, other staff from the Department of Social Services, and volunteers, and they were able to, again, conduct over 2,000 surveys to our actual farm workers. In addition to gathering data and information for the needs assessment, we conducted focus groups that were made up of key community stakeholders that represented education, community-based organizations, health and human services, agriculture employers, and then we also conducted one-on-one key informant interviews with MECOP, CAUSE, and Growers and Shippers Association. And then the last bullet just speaks to all the data that we got through the surveys that we gathered through meeting with our partners and some of those key informant groups really designed our program. So there was a lot of things that we wanted to focus on as far as being available and accessible to our farm workers. And so we really took all of that information to kind of roll out what our program would look like. And then next slide, sir.
All right. Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Cesar Guerrero. I'm the program coordinator for the newly established Farm Work Resource Center here for our county, also known as Proyecto Campesino. So I think our program is designed a little bit different because our star of the show happens to be a mobile unit. So one of the main focuses of our program that we wanted to accomplish was to be able to make a reach to the employers and to the farm workers to actually take the services to the job site. So because we understand the struggles that some of the farm workers have when either they get off of work, of having to pick up their kids and then trying to go to a resource center, we want to make sure that we're there to meet the need as soon as they're off of work. So we teamed up with some of our local employers to try to be able to provide and connect the services directly to the farm workers on site. So this mobile unit's equipped with Starlink connectivity. So we're able to connect laptops, do on-site presentations, PowerPoints. We can print out any type of documents that farm workers may need for any type of service that they're requesting. We would have our laptops on hand as well. So we're able to work on site. And basically the pictures that you see on this mobile unit, they're actually from our local employer, supervisor, and a farm worker on the other side. So we wanted to make sure that we tied in all of our audiences and focus groups that we wanted to definitely work together with. We put together a community advisory work group committee, and basically these individuals helped us to navigate and to make sure that we steer the course exactly what the program was intended to do, which was to connect farm workers and help farm employers with the various types of resources that are available within the community. So we will meet on a monthly basis to try to get the feedback, give an update as to where the program has been, and then be able to gather to then make changes as necessary. But at the same time, we wanted to make sure we focus exactly what was the true need that the farm workers and employers were looking to get out of the resource center. And I think one of the things I want to mention too is by having this community, the community advisory work group member, it allowed us to not only stay in touch exactly from the employer perspective as far as what are some of the short-term needs that they're looking to fill, and that the resource center could meet, but also to be able to meet the short-term needs that some of the farm workers had to do. So, and we wanted to make sure we were careful as well as how to navigate with all of our CBOs, because we wouldn't want to duplicate the work. We wanted to make sure that we were there to basically just fill in the void and be able to meet the need as necessary and as make adjustments as needed on that. So, which became a big thing for our program. So our program was put together, was run by our executive director, put together by a program coordinator, myself, and then we have Ramon Ramirez and Leti Santiago, who are our two farm worker resource specialists. Leti is a trilingual speaker, and she speaks several dialects from the Mixteco. So that having her on board was a big plus to our program, because then we were able to connect with the Mixteco community on that. For other types of dialects, we teamed up with one of our partners, which was Herencia Indígena. They provide translation services, so they were able to provide that translation whenever that was necessary. Over the course of our program, we connected with just over 50 community partners. So our staff got to learn and understand exactly the types of services that each of those agencies had to offer, what was the application process, what was the referral process. And one of the things that we wanted to make sure is that we wanted to know exactly what is it that they had to offer, so that when we presented that to our farm workers and even the employers themselves, they knew exactly what each agency had to offer, and then be able to assist where needed on that. So our program was intended to basically provide access to services and designed to just meet the needs of the farm workers, the employers, and anyone else that worked throughout the county of Santa Barbara. So we served as a liaison for those individuals. We wanted to make sure that we offer services in not just English and Spanish, but also offer them in Mixteco and different dialects as needed. We wanted to make sure that we address the challenges and the needs that are being faced. So our program constantly changes depending on where the need is and what is it that the farm workers are requesting, what type of assistance they're looking for, and then kind of help use our resources that not only do we have with the Department of Social Services, but also with the Workforce Development Board. So we have quite a bit of different tools available at our disposal to be able to meet the need and challenges of our farm workers. One of the things that we wanted to also make sure we did was to provide close referrals. So if a farm worker comes into our center, whether it be our mobile unit at a job site or here in our district office, we wanted to make sure that we guided them through the process of the application and referral process of each of those agencies. Some of you may know that sometimes people do have a need, they just don't know how to go about it because there's a lot of agencies out there. And so we help them navigate the complex world of not just the government type of aid, but also the other agencies as well. So as long as people understood the application process, the referral process, what are some of the requirements that each agency is requesting, and we submit completed documents and form, we realized that the farm workers were a lot more understanding of the situation and were then able to then adjust as needed to understand exactly what that process was, and they were very well in there. So we will meet with the farm workers. We will then provide up to 3 options of different agencies that will meet their specific need. If option 1 was not available, we connect them with the secondary option. If that wasn't there, we will connect them with the third one. So we didn't just do the connection from point A to point B. We make sure we walk them through the whole process on that. One of our key things that made our program a success was the foster the collaboration with agricultural employers. So we wanted to make sure that we work with employers, not against them. We wanted to make sure that we were there to provide the services that they were requesting based on what the needs were of their staff. Many of the employers were, which we work just over, I believe it's 10 companies that we work with here in our area. And we would do resource fairs right before staff were being laid off for the end of the season. We would do any type of assistance when it came down to mental health services, applications to Medi-Cal, CalFresh programs. So any type of stuff that they themselves needed, we will help and guide them through that, so they're able to offer that to that. So basically, we wanted to do a one-stop approach with everything that we had to offer for anyone who was interested in our services. So over the course of 10 months, we engaged with just over 24,000 individuals. This could either be a community event, resource fairs, those kind of engagements. Out of that, we had about 8,500 individuals who registered for our program, who were interested in the program. And out of that, we ended up walking away with just over 7,000 referrals. And those referrals, like I said, included the soft hand referrals. So make sure that we follow through it. So a little bit of case management to some of those. These are some of the big areas that we had as far as the services that our farm workers in our county were requesting. Here you'll see the top 3 for each of those domains, which is our biggest one will have to be the Health and Human Services when it comes to the completion of documents and forms, which could be unemployment, disability, medical, and cash aid. So one of the things that we did with our program is that we ended up bringing in eligibility workers who handle the actual medical and CalFIRST cases, and then they will be able to provide that assistance on the spot. So if we went out to an employer event and someone had a question on their CalFIRST, the eligibility workers were then able to give them immediate on-site assistance to either submit and complete their reports, let them know if their case was active or if it was discontinued, why it was discontinued. And even in some situations, they will provide verifications on the spot and reopen their benefits a lot. So we get a lot of trust with the community to have trust within the government entity on that. We work closely with a lot of the Mexican consulate. So we were starting to do workshops as far as showing people how to make an appointment. We will find that some farm workers were paying up to $300 just for an appointment, which is ridiculous. So we ended up meeting that need by creating workshops that started off just by doing 10 people at a time and now eventually grew up to about 50. So we do quite a bit of different things. We can do a community event, we can do school events, we can do our own workshops. So we did quite a variety of events throughout the 10 months that we had the program. Like I said, with the employers, we work with just over 10 employers that include Agroja, Ryder, West End Supplies, Main Street Produce. I mean, the list continues as far as that. We would do financial workshops in partnership with the Mexican consulate. So we teamed up the consulate to be able to bring the services to the farm workers at their location. We did employer presentations and meetings to not only kind of give them an update as far as what we offer and the services we had to offer, but to also to get their engagement as far as how the center can best benefit their farm workers and what it needs that their farm workers were requesting on that. The successes that we gained that we feel from the program was to get employer insights in order to say their support. So every resource fair that we did on site was specifically tailored for what the specific needs of each employer. So every employer has different needs, different things that they were requesting. And so we will work with them and we will create their marketing material. We will go ahead and do the advertisement. We will go ahead and bring the agencies together to then be able to do research fairs of up to 400 individuals at one point. So we work closely with them to make sure that we provide specifically the need that they're requesting for their farm workers. So it's the ability to tailor our assistance to align according to individual needs. I think for the areas of improvement, we would maybe prefer that the project term and support was a little longer. Yes, it is 15 months. However, the first 5 months, was a little challenging because our program, everything that you see here had to be created from the ground up. I mean, we're talking from the website, social media accounts, marketing materials, the connection with the farm workers, connection with the agricultural employers. So everything that we've done had to basically start from the ground up, and everything was fresh start type of thing. So farm workers have critical needs, and the question now is how do we continue to serve them? And so I will let Julie explain about our sustainability.
Yeah, so just to kind of summarize everything, I mean, we had such a huge impact in our community in such a short amount of time. And so a few months into it, we had discussions as a team, and we came to the realization that we couldn't stop these services. So one way or another, we were going to have to figure out how we could fund these services at a certain capacity. So really, we did some intense work of searching for opportunities, and we were fortunate enough, as you can see, some of the grant awards that we've recently been awarded. So we have a nonprofit community-based healthcare organization, SenCal, in Santa Barbara County, and their community relations fund actually donated $60,000. So this is a really special pot of money because this money really lets us host a lot of those events that Caesar was talking about. You know, being able to feed the farm workers and give them drinks and host them after, you know, long days of work and be able to have their families there. So that $60,000 is really going to go a long way to continue some of those events. We were awarded the California Governor's Office of Business and Economic Development Local Immigration Integration and Inclusion Grant, LIIIG for short. And this one really expands our capacity to provide program referrals to farm workers and their families. So in the previous slide, you know, Caesar mentioned the period of the contract term and the support. And these critical needs that our farm workers have are just so great. And so it really takes tons and tons of staff time and support. And so we're fortunate that the GoBiz grant supported bringing on additional staff people to kind of continue the program design of the Farm Worker Resource Center. The third project we have listed is we were awarded EDD Farm Worker Advancement Program. So this program really aligns with our workforce development services. We're able to provide intensive workforce services to adult farm workers and children of farm workers. And some of those services include training, paid work experience, and supportive services. And then lastly, which is most recently, we were awarded the Department of Labor National Farm Worker Jobs Program grant. We have a little asterisk on that one because it is intended to be a 4-year award, but of course, depending on funding availability. And so right now we're working on this project. It's about a 15-month term for almost $2 million. And it's similar to the Farm Worker Advancement Program where it aligns with providing workforce services to our farm workers, their families, with the emphasis on good jobs. And so so we threw everything in one basket in those last maybe 6 months of this project and hoping that something would come out of it. And we've been fortunate again, like I mentioned. So this is really how we plan to sustain it. You know, each has their own requirements. So we're trying to make sure that everything that Caesar and his team has built so far can still be met. And then again, with meeting the requirements of those funding opportunities. And that's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. We will open it up to some questions now, and I will turn to my colleague Santiago because I'm not able to see everyone on the screen. Anyone who has any questions for our panelists?
I am scrolling through the screens. I don't see any raised hands. However, looking to see if there's any chat. No one is indicating via chat or via the raise hand feature that they have questions.
Well, I have a few, so I will ask my questions then. Curious for both presentations. CBDIO, you focused on this in the Monterey County presentation, but what sorts of labor rights and employment questions did you have from workers, and how just what other insights can you share in that regard, given that we're a state labor agency and that's our kind of bread and butter?
I guess I'll go first. So I guess for our county, when it came to any type of employer rights or issues with pay stubs, most of the individuals that we had either stopped by our mobile unit or stopped by our center, those individuals already were working with either a legal agency that was assisting them through that program. And because we work for the county, we're governed by a very different set of rules. So there's very limited as far as what we can and can't do or can't say. So we would just basically kind of work and connect them with the secondary, even a third option, as far as a legal agency that can then provide that service and be able to guide them to make sure that the individuals got the right information that they needed, that they were looking for. I know when it came down to the employer side, you know, that was one of the questions they would ask us, and we would basically do the same thing where, you know, we would basically, if anyone comes in, we will give those individuals the resources just like anyone else, and it was up to them to follow through with those agencies to make sure they get the right legal advice that they needed for their specific issue.
Thank you, Cesar. Very similar questions in Monterey County, and I think, Jessica, this is a great opportunity to share other concerns or questions, or, you know, more of those frequent stories from the workshops that were led by CBDIO. Y Adriana, es cualquier experiencia que tienen con preguntas sobre empleo, que derechos de empleo, que si pueden.
Hola, soy Adriana. Me gustaría compartir que yo ayudé a algunas personas. Ahorita a la mente tengo 3 personas que pude darles información y dirigirlas al departamento de OSHA estaban teniendo problemas en su área de trabajo. Tenían muchas alergias, ojos llorosos, y dicen que preguntaban, qué pasaba porque tenían esas reacciones, y en el trabajo le decían que no pasaba nada. Entonces, fueron en empaques diferentes, pero el caso fue similar. Entonces, tuve la oportunidad de darles el número y ahorita están en ese proceso. Les están ayudando.
Thank you. Thank you.
Personally with CBDIO, so a lot of the information out there is already in English and Spanish. So the population that we work with, they have this extra barrier of the indigenous languages, right? Because there's not a lot of information out there with the indigenous languages. So there's a lot of misinformation, or they're not able to receive the information at all. So CBDIO is trying to close that gap. In terms of employment, we actually have like a really good collaboration with EDD. I believe Yvette is here. So she comes a lot to the Salinas office. So we refer people to them, and then we make appointments with them here at our Salinas office, where we have staff helping them in Mixteco, Triqui, Chatino. So that has been like a really great collaboration that has come out of this, and it's been good to see the trust that the community has built in Centro, and because the EDD system and going through appeals or filling out the forms, it can be very complicated. So our community workers get training and they help them navigate that system. So that's we're happy to have that collaboration and trust with the EDD.
Julie, did you?
Oh, yeah, I was just gonna ask, I guess sort of a follow-up question, and that some of you referred to. Just to what extent do you feel that you have the capacity in your organizations to really help workers navigate these different processes? Because I know sometimes or a lot of the time, it's not enough just to say, call these people and then they'll get all the help they need. Certainly, I know when we make referrals, we have people coming back to us and saying, hey, I haven't heard back, what's going on with my case, or, oh, they want me to do this, this, and this, and or they just, and as you mentioned there, with language barriers, there seems to be a lot of need for people to have someone to help them through the process. So do you feel that you're adequately equipped to do that at this point in time, and or what else would you need for that?
Now, are we talking about the labor concerns, or are we talking like?
Oh, just for, yeah, I'm sorry,
general?
for with respect to the labor cases. Yes, thank you for that clarification. Yeah, with respect to the labor employment cases that people have when they're trying to access government services, such as at EDD, ALRB, Labor Commissioner, Cal OSHA, et cetera.
Yeah, so from our county, we work closely with EDD because they're actually right in the same center that we're in. So we have, so every agency that we work with, our staff get trained to fill out the proper forms, what type of verifications they need, and then making sure that whenever they come back to get follow-up questions, or assistance, that they understand, and we have specific contacts with each organization to try to make sure that we understand the process so that we can then give the proper information to those clients, especially with our Mixteco community. Because of the language barriers, obviously, we want to make sure that we give the right information to them. I believe that our center is fully equipped to handle those type of legal issues that come up with our center. However, we usually, because we're not lawyers, because we're not experts on that field, we're very limited as far as what we can and can't say, just because of the fact that we don't want to give people the wrong information about their case or their situation, or for us to easily kind of give what we think it's going to happen. So we refer that a lot with the agencies, but we do work a lot closely with those agencies that provide legal services to try to make sure we understand at least the application process and the referral process, so that we're able to helpfully give the clients a fully completed application on their behalf at the end. And that's pretty much as far as we take it on that end. So.
And Cesar, I want to add, so, you know, to give an idea, you saw our picture with our 3 staff, so Cesar and Letty and Ramon. For sure, 3 is not enough based on the level of services you saw on one of our PowerPoints. We were fortunate that we were able to pull some Medi-Cal workers towards the end, I think, of our grant, to support our center a couple days. But we don't know what the right number is. So if you look at the National Jobs Farm Worker Program, we wrote in 5 staff, and fortunately we were funded for all 5. There wasn't any concern with the amount of money we dedicated to, you know, staff salary and benefits. But I mean, we were really being creative with finding interns and paid work experience people, and pulling from our workforce program operators to get their support. So I don't know, Cesar, if you have the number off the top of your head, but what's at one point the largest number of people you had supporting the center? Do you know?
So right now we're seeing anywhere between 150 to 200 individuals on a weekly basis. And that's not even the busy season that should start picking up within the next month and a half. But what we're trying to do is trying to be proactive. And that's where we team up with our local ag employers to then be able to offer resources before the farm workers get laid off, so that they're able to get the services they need before they're actually terminated. So we're working with a couple companies to take care of that. So we'll be bringing a lot of agencies in, especially like, for example, EDD, to help them get ready for how to complete the proper form, what is expected of how to complete the forms, the verifications, and to hopefully expedite the process. So.
Yeah, and I think, you know, at one point we might have had like 8 to 10 people kind of supporting on different days, part-time capacity. You know, like we wanted to point out in the presentation, the needs are so high, and so you know, literacy issues, and you know, we all know that Mixteco and our indigenous languages aren't written languages, and so everything has to be translated. So maybe my partners, you know, from the other counties can kind of chime in, but you know, we're gonna see how we do with 5 staff supporting. But I know that Cesar and his team were working round the clock for 15 months, weekends and days and nights, and leveraging partners. So yeah, I think it's safe to say we probably don't have enough of the support, the capacity, to really continue to provide these critical services.
Thank you.
As for Monterey County, I would agree that our teams do have the capacity to provide this type of supports to our Monterey County community. So one thing I failed to mention in the presentation is each of our community-based organizations, as well as our county, had community health workers providing the direct service. You all may or may not be familiar with community health workers, but they are people from their own community who can relate and create those trusting bonds and relationships. And through the use of, you know, this best practice, it really allows our CHWs to establish those relationships with our clients, to foster that trust that will allow clients more likely to follow through with the referrals, or follow through with, you know, asking any questions or sharing any challenges or barriers that are coming up in accessing the resources. And that's something I want to highlight, throughout each of our CBOs and our county team, is that proactive approach of not just handing out the referral and saying, here, go there. It's really preparing them to access that and to assess what needs there are. Are there transportation challenges, right? Is it a language challenge? And making sure that we are preparing our client to be able to get their foot in the door. And once they're in the door, what else is coming up? Or is there misinformation being shared? So I would, I agree that and Jessica and Adriana, feel free to share, but we do provide training. There's also times where, and I'm just gonna, Jessica, share this as an example, right? We wanted more information about laws around H2 workers and supports that there are. So identifying like whom in our community can provide those type of training. So as things are coming up, as issues are coming up, we're equipping our community health workers and our teams with that knowledge to be able to address these things that are coming up in our community as we're providing those direct services.
Thank you. Okay, we will turn, I have a couple other questions, but I want to be respectful of our presenters, but really appreciate you all sharing your work and your insights, and I'm just really incredibly impressed with how much you were able to do in such a short period of time, layered on top of the fact that you had to build this system up. It's really, really impressive. And so it's exciting to hear that you've identified opportunities to keep it going. I think that's awesome. Okay, next, and I apologize, I need my notes up here.
And I apologize for interrupting. If we're able to, can we take a few minutes break for the interpreter at this time?
Yes, perfect timing. Why don't we take 5-10 minute break while with the interpreter? I want to make sure we're providing adequate break. Just to let us know.
Yeah, I'm checking in with her right now.
Okay.
10 minutes, she says, please.
Okay, all right, so we'll be back here at 3:13. And then we'll hear from our next two counties. All right, thank you. Medical appointments, I'll be leaving the meeting probably a little bit earlier, but my colleague, board member Flores, has agreed to help manage the meeting when I depart. So thankful to all the presenters for coming here today. So next we have presenters from Stanislaus and Ventura counties. From Stanislaus County, we have Jorge de Nava from Central Valley Opportunity Center. And then from Ventura County, we'll have Espi Gonzalez, who's a program manager with the county. So first we'll turn it over to Jorge.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair Hasid, board members, ALRB staff, and guests. My name is Jorge de Nava, and I am the Executive Director at Central Valley Opportunity Center and representing the Stanislaus County Farm Worker Resource Center. I'll share my screen with you. Is everyone able to see that? Santiago, we're good?
Yes.
Thank
you. We can see you.
Perfect. So this is our 92 slide deck that we whittled down to about 13 slides for the sake of time. This is the CVOC Farm Worker Resource Center project, or El Centro de Recursos para Trabajadores Agrícolas de CVOC. And reporting period here is July 2023 through May 2024. Heard a little bit about this already, but project description, obviously we focused on the resource program to help unemployed and underemployed farm workers with referrals, supportive services. Our focus area categories were emergency-based in the form of rental assistance, emergency food, temporary shelter, utility assistance, car repairs, licensing, and fees. Like to shout out our great partners in this project. First of all, Stanislaus County and the Stanislaus County Board of Supervisors for their support, not only ideologically, but monetarily as well for this project. We had a four-tiered approach to our partners. We focused on partners that were able to bring actual resources to the table. Our definition for the Farm Worker Resource Center as far as a resource is something that is tangible, a support service, rental assistance, a job training, a Class A driver's license training, something of that sort. So we focused on four tiers, the first tier being the Stanislaus County itself and the Community Services Agency, which is our Department of Social Services here in the county, the Workforce Development Board of Stanislaus, Stanislaus County Office of Education, the Agricultural Commissioner, and Stanislaus County Human Services Agency, which focused on health. Our second tier was our state departments that we are friendly with and have resources available for farm workers, and that include ALRB, Cal Civil Rights, EDD, the Employment Development Department, and a couple of other state agencies that came on towards the end. Our next focus was community-based organizations like Child Development Services, Center for Human Services, which focused on mental health, Nurture, which is a childcare-based training provider that takes farm workers and provides them a in-home childcare business training and support with licensing. Sierra Vista Family Resource Center at Concilio, Migrant Education, which was a very good partner for us, Golden Valley Health Center, which is a federally qualified health center, Citibank with financial literacy, and then our fourth tier was CVOC's existing farm worker services. CVOC has provided farm worker services here in the Central Valley for 45 years now. We were incorporated in 1979, and we have a wide stream of funding sources, federal, state, local, private philanthropy as well, that fund our farm worker service programs revolving around a whole person approach, which is now morphed into a whole family approach. Some of those services we were able to leverage in-house included our high school equivalency program. CVOC is one of 11 grantees in the state of California that has that project. We are also the Community Action Agency in Stanislaus County. So we are the LIHEAP provider for Home Energy Assistance Program, which is credit towards utility bills. Of course, the Farm Worker Resource Center, and I'll get into those services here in a couple more slides. And then CVOC has been a National Farm Worker Jobs Program grantee since its inception. So we've had that for 45 years, and we were able to leverage those program funds to incorporate into the Farm Worker Resource Center. Some nice boring statistics for everybody, similar to what you've heard already today. But this slide tells you about the number of unduplicated farm workers. These are actual people served by the Farm Worker Resource Center during the reporting period. Total of 2,300 farm workers served with an actual service, which I mentioned the definition of that earlier. We included that first quarter, which is that ramp-up quarter. Stanislaus County Board of Supervisors approved the project on March 28th, 2023. So that first quarter is April 1st to June 30th. And we're able to provide 49 services during that quarter, but you can see the gradual scale up of activity through the Resource Center project, culminating in the January 1st, 2024 to March 31st, 2024 quarter, where 963 farm workers were served. We had to hurry up and slow down, is the saying, right? Because that last quarter was only 6 weeks, but during those 6 weeks, we were already at 560. So I guess an area that we would love to see address, should this pilot program come to fruition in the upcoming years, is an extended period of time based on a quarterly system basis. So had we been able to operate through that time period through June 30th instead of ending May 15th, our numbers would have continued to increase. Stanislaus County is, for those that don't know, is a very slight populated county, I guess. We're about 550,000 people strong. However, Stanislaus County is the 8th largest ag county in America. So our basis here is ag, and farm workers are prevalent in our community. Through the Farm Worker Resource Center, this slide lets you know that we had an even split. We were 50-50 with services to farm workers that lacked legal status and those that had legal work authorization. To me and to CVOC, and I know Stanislaus County is very proud of this, but this is one of the very few farm worker programs out there that are able to serve those without the legal work authorization. So to me, that's the number one best attribute of the FRC project. Overall services provided during the time period of the FRC, total close to about 9,000. You can see our categories that we focused on: employment assistance and advocacy, labor and employment rights and legal services, direct financial assistance, that's cash in hand or cash to the utility company, landlord, etc. Health and human services, education access and support. CVOC was able to provide ESL and GED classes for our farm workers on site and mobile as well. And the bulk of our work in the Farm Worker Resource Center was emergency supportive services and referral. These are farm workers that came through our doors or went to our events and said, hey, my utilities are about to get shut off. How can you help? We're in arrears in our rent and we have an eviction notice. How can you help? Our car broke down and we can't get to work. How can you help? Emergency services were by far in our county the lead of all of our categories of service areas. A little breakdown of the monetary investment that farm workers receive directly from the Farm Worker Resource Center. This doesn't count leverage programs. This is just through the FRC. 118 rental assistance, 65 utility assistance, 20 food vouchers, 4 car registrations, repairs, 2 emergency shelters. So 209 total emergency services, resulting in a $216,000 investment. In addition, CVOC invested $150,000 in FRC funds to purchase commodities that were distributed to farm workers. This included diapers, wipes, personal care items, toothbrushes, shampoo, toothpaste, etc. A lot of things you've heard today already. In addition, all of our events, any farm worker that walked through our doors, any farm workers that we contacted in the field received a food box. These boxes of food was enough to last a family for about a week. The second, I think, best thing about the Farm Worker Resource Center project was that we were able to canvass the entire county mobilely and through our partner system. This slide just gives you a brief snapshot of farm worker outreach by city. We were able to hit every city in Stanislaus County. The bulk of our work was done in the very heavily populated farm worker communities, and that's on the west side of Stanislaus County, which includes Patterson, Wesley, Grayson. So our top 2 cities were obviously Modesto, which is our largest city of 250,000 people or so, and Patterson, which is one of our largest farm worker communities. But again, very proud that we were able to hit all of the cities and to able to hit those cities multiple times. Now, how did we conduct our outreach? Many different ways, but I'll focus on just one here for you today. And that was the organization and execution of farm worker resource fairs. Again, you'll notice we didn't call these farm worker information fairs. These were actual resource fairs where you could walk out of that event with something tangible in hand, a food voucher, an application not just completed, but approved for a vocational training, free vocational training, ESL, GED classes, etc. And we focused our farm worker resource fairs on the rural communities. So probably these 5 cities listed here, you've never even heard of. Grayson is a small community on the west side of Stanislaus County, primarily made up of agricultural workers. Around 1,300 is the population of Grayson. Patterson is a larger city on the near the I-5 corridor on the west side of Stanislaus County, which is a very high farm worker population as well. Houston, which is an unincorporated city in Stanislaus County, and which was our most highly populated event. Over 1,000 people attended the Houston event, and that's on the eastern part of Stanislaus County. Riverbank is in the northeast, and Empire is in the east. So the focus was rural communities, going to where farm workers live, work, shop, and we conducted resource fairs in conjunction with our partners from the previous slide, and we held them in areas that we knew farm workers were comfortable attending. So the Grayson event was at the community center. The Patterson event was at a local Catholic church. The Houston event, another Catholic church. Riverbank in the community center. And Empire was held at the Stanislaus County Housing Authority's migrant camp. In addition, we made the resource fairs an event, something that folks would want to attend even if they weren't looking for a service, because as you've heard earlier, I don't recall who said it, but farm workers don't know what they need until they walk through the door. They don't know what they're eligible for, right? They don't know what services are out there, and that's our job to convey that to them. So we had live radio remotes being done at our resource fairs. We had music. We had culturally sensitive food in the form of food trucks attend our events. We also had numerous giveaways, not just through the Farm Worker Resource Center, but from our partners with a focus on PPE. N95s were being handed out for our farm workers. We had numerous donations from the large food corporations that we have in Stanislaus County, Del Monte, Conagra, et cetera, that were able to distribute food that was donated. I'll point out ALRB down here in the bottom middle. Dr. Lucia Vasquez attended our events. She would come up from the Visalia office and come into Stanislaus County to attend our resource fair. So we're very appreciative of that. But that was our #1 form of outreach to the farm worker community. Again, we would go to them with something tangible in hand that they could leave our events with. We also did some traditional outreach, a billboard campaign, community forums. Obviously, we would go out into the fields on a daily basis and conduct outreach there, door to door, migrant camps, et cetera. In addition, we also, in partnership with Stanislaus County, we did 3 quarterly community report outs. We did one in August of 2023, another in March of 2024, and then most recently, even though the project ended May 15th of 24, we did a community report out in August of 2024, where we reported out on the FRC statistics in depth, took questions, answered them, and used it also as a community forum for folks to give us feedback on the project that we were running and what they would like to see in the future. So I'm glad I get through that boring stuff, because this is the really good part of it for me, is you get to put a face to what the Farm Worker Resource Center project did. So I have a couple success stories here to go through, so bear with me. But this gentleman here that you see in the picture, this is Jose Godinez. He is a farm worker that came to us facing significant challenges. Despite working tirelessly in the fields, his family was struggling to make ends meet, facing financial hardships. You know, he was very adamant that as a man, he wanted to provide for his family and help them pursue their dreams while still trying to fulfill his own. He walked through our doors with a very simple ask, and that was support with unpaid utility bills. So the FRC was able to do that. But once he walked in and found out all the services that he was able to access, Jose kind of took a sigh of relief, a very deep breath, and he saw that he was going to be able to retain some stability, not only in his life, but in his family's life. So Jose and his son both enrolled into a free vocational training, professional truck driver course through CVOC, where they both achieved a forklift certification and a Class 8 license. And I'm happy and proud to say that both Jose and his son graduated, got their CDL, and are working at the same employer, a pavement company, each of them making $33.57 an hour, year-round work as well. So That is, for us, the statistics are great, but that's a true success of this Farm Worker Resource Center pilot. Another one, this is a family of 4. Similar story, Areli, who is the wife in this family, visited our Modesto office, again, seeking help for food and utility bills. Her and her husband are both seasonal farm workers and 2 young children. And they reside in the eastern part of Stanislaus County, a very small community, which is ag-based. And CVOC was able to fully cover the family's water bill, and they also received a $200 food voucher to alleviate their food distress. In addition, both parents enrolled into our forklift certification training, and were able to complete that, and were able to upskill, workforce development term, but we're able to improve the job they had in the fields to then going to work in the warehouse portion of that company. So we were very proud that the FRC was able to serve the entire family in this case. In addition, we are still in contact with this family, and their next step to improve their situation is going to be seeking ESL classes and GD prep, as well as a naturalization process that we will be continuing to support them through. Our third success story that we have here is Fabiola. She came into our Patterson office on the western side of Stanislaus County on the I-5 corridor. And again, came in requesting monetary support. She and her partner had been unemployed for a while, struggling with payments, utility bills, rent. According to Fabiola, her words, agriculture work is seasonal and at times unpredictable, so the job is never guaranteed. This is a common theme that we've heard day in and day out operating the FRC. So CVOC and the FRC was able to assist her with food and her utility bills to stabilize her situation. And then Fabiola started to attend every Saturday. The Patterson office would hold a introductory computer technology class. She started to attend those Saturday classes for a couple of months in a row, and then was able to enroll into an actual Microsoft Office certification course through CVOC. So she's continuing her journey with us, but it all started because of the FRC. And then the last quote there from Fabiola, this was a relief that she has not felt in a long time with the monetary investment of over $1,200 to stabilize her home situation. So to wrap it up, for being short and sweet, thank you. It was an honor to partner with Stanislaus County on the Farm Worker Resource Center project. CVOC has been doing this type of work, like I said, for over 4 decades now. We're operating farm worker resource centers already, but with this pilot program and with Stanislaus County's support and partnership, we were able to scale up our existing operations. So we were able to hire more people, invest more monetarily, hit more parts of the county, receive those county department supports. And we're able to make a real big impact in Stanislaus County that the farm worker community here had never seen. And me personally, 22 years doing this type of work, I had never seen this type of splash, this type of impact so quickly. I think Cesar said it earlier. A lot was accomplished in a very short amount of time. So we're very proud of that fact. And we're just happy to participate. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you. We will now hear from SB Gonzalez, a program manager with Ventura County.
Hello, everyone. Pleasure to be here. Let me see if I can start sharing my screen. I think, Jorge, you need to unshare.
I can do it on my end too. I'm stopping the sharing. And I believe, Jorge, that one of our other participants had asked for your contact info. If you'd like to send it via chat, I can post it there for everyone, or alternatively provide it at the end.
All right, so good afternoon. A pleasure to be here. My name is Espi Gonzalez. I am with the County of Ventura Human Services Agency. And as Cynthia said, I'm the program manager for the Farm Workers Resource Program. Also in this meeting is Chris Russell. He's our division manager. And first, before I start, I just want to congratulate all the presenters. It sounds like you're all doing a great job in serving the farm working community. I think we are making a difference little by little. So I wanted to present our program. Our program is celebrating their 5 years of community service. We say celebrate because we're celebrating the entire year of 2024. The main purpose for our program is a common theme that I heard from other presenters is to build trust and develop relationships in the agricultural community by, assisting in the work concerns that our farm workers may have, and also assisting them in navigating public agencies. I'll give you a little bit of the history. Jessica, you kind of mentioned this. Thank you for being part of this group that developed this program. This program was launched in 2019. It was with the assistance of the County Executive Board of Supervisors and other members, such as the Ventura County Farm. I'm sorry, I can't see my whole screen. Ventura County Farm Bureau and the Mixteco Community Organizing Project, which is MyCOP. And then, of course, other ag growers that participated in discussing a way to assist and provide services to our farm working community. They held 14 organizing meetings that were available to the public. They had Mixteco interpreters, and this was the first of its kind in the state of California, since we're talking about 5 years ago. And this model has served for other counties in the state. We are a small team, and I know one of the questions was, do we have enough staff to address the concerns of the farm working community? Our team is composed of 6 dedicated workers that have lived experience. They're trilingual, and they are very happy to serve the population. I want to go back to 2019. So when this program was launched, unfortunately, the year after we experienced the pandemic, and the FRP team was very resourceful in working with the public health agency, going out to the agricultural fields to assist them in understanding COVID, the pandemic, the restrictions that we had, offering, the vaccines when they were available and where they could go to, how they can test. We're happy that is over, and so the team is working as they should. Some of the core services that the team provides to the agricultural community is outreaches, information and referrals. We assist with farm labor issues. The most common labor issues that we've encountered is mainly has to do with pay, with are you paying me piecework, or are you paying me overtime, or I don't understand why I'm not getting, sick hours. a lot of the times what we've experienced, sometimes it's a language barrier or understanding their check stub. The team, as I mentioned, is composed of 6 members, and they provide language support. And we also assist in special projects and targeted initiatives we support. So one special project that I would like to mention is that in 2023, our team worked with a resource management agency in collecting 417 surveys, in-person surveys with farm workers. And this was to study the needs of housing in the farm working community. And there was a lot of interesting information that came out of that. The FRB facts that we have is that currently our team is providing services in 3 cities here in Ventura County, one being Oxnard, which is where the majority of our farm workers are concentrated at. This is the farm workers that are working the berries, the strawberries, the berries. Although Santa Paula, we also have our farm workers in Port Hueneme. In Santa Paula, it's more of the citrus farm workers. We have a lot of lemons and oranges. We also have avocados here. The top 3 languages that we have a request to translate more to is, of course, Spanish, Mixteco, and Zapoteco. But we also have another staff member that speaks Purepecha. The top 3 requests for assistance is housing and rental assistance. As you know, housing, we're short in housing. And in Ventura County, housing for a 2-bedroom apartment is anywhere around $2,300 to $2,700. The other assistance is general financial assistance. This is mainly when the season, there's no season for crops, they're laid off, and I would say the majority of our farm workers cannot apply for unemployment. So this is when they reach out to us. We also connect them to other resources, public assistance benefits. We are fortunate enough to have our department where they provide public assistance for CalFresh, which is food stamps, Medi-Cal, and CalWorks, which is the cash aid. So we have partnerships with our sister department, and when we do have farm workers that are in need of any of those public assistance, it's a matter of an email, and then the program staff will reach out to them. We have multiple offices in Ventura County where we have the presence of our staff, which is Ventura, Oxnard, and Santa Paula Fillmore. Some of the outreach events that the team also participates is we have a partnership with the Mexican Consulate, and we do have a staff member that has an office at the Mexican Consulate, and they are there to provide legal support, documentation support, and any consular services. Mainly the language support is a big an important component of our staff being there. We also attend a Swap Meet Justice. So this is every last Sunday of each month. And we also see our ALRB staff there, which is nice. It's a Swap Meet Justice where there's all types of services, public benefits, and we feel that is, we are going to where our farm workers are at. So Sundays is normally for farm workers a day off, and they go to the swap meet or flea market. I don't know how you know it, but that's where our staff is also providing services. We also partnered with Westminster Clinic, a nonprofit healthcare organization that provides resources to farm workers that are in need of healthcare. This is a good connection because they serve after business hours. So our staff is there after our business hours, which is normally after 4 p.m. They're connecting with our farm workers to be able to provide them with the resources that they can offer. As Jorge, he shared 3 stories. I'm only going to share one of the stories that one of my staff members was able to assist. One common theme that we see in our farm workers as we start interacting with them is that there's never just a one need. There's always multiple needs. And in this particular story that Esperanza assisted this family with, they had recently moved to Ventura County. They had a language barrier already. They only spoke Mixteco, and they needed assistance to enroll their children in school. We partnered with our school district, and Esperanza was able to reach out to a staff there, and they were able to enroll the children. At the same time, we also discovered that they needed immediate support with health insurance, and they also had a need for food. So we connected them to our department where they could assist them with the Medi-Cal and the CalFresh benefits, but we also gave them a list of pantries, local pantries, where they could go and pick up food. This is my team. If you notice, they're all smiling because they're very, very happy for the work that they do. You know, they work also tireless. They go out to the fields and provide support or services. We often get invited from agricultural growers when they're having a fair, an event. We went to one of our ag growers, Ryder, and last month, and they provided 537 packets for the farm workers there. The other way that our team also communicates is via Facebook, WhatsApp. Those are the social medias. They also have once a month, they have a podcast where they will invite an organization to talk about their program, which is, I think, a wonderful resource to have. And the last thing I want to share is that here in Ventura County, we had a developer that built, I believe, 360 units nearby for farm workers. And they asked us if we could spread the word. So they posted it on Facebook, and we had 20,000 views. And we were also having them reach out to us via Facebook Messenger because they were interested in wanting to apply for this program. So this is our information, and I'm kind of jealous for all the data that all the other presenters had. We are currently going through a new system, but I'm hoping that next time, if there is a next time, we'll be able to provide you with more of the data numbers. So that is it. Thank you so much.
Fantastic. I just want to say again, thank you so very much, SB and Jorge, for those fantastic presentations. We do have a few minutes for question and answer. If anyone is interested in asking a question, Santiago, can you please advise if you see anyone that has raised their hand or has provided a question in the chat?
No one at this moment in time. However, if you want to give it a couple of seconds here.
Cynthia, I have a question.
Okay, Board Member Broad, we'll pass it off to you.
So in my former life, before I was here, I served for many years on the State Employment Training Panel, which, you know, gives out about $100 million a year in training grants to employers and nonprofits that provide employment training. And it was always a challenge with the farm worker population, because frankly, it's intended to help fund training where there are career ladders. And oftentimes in farm labor, there's not a career ladder. The career ladder is to leave farm labor and do other things. And we see it here, like get a commercial driver's license, and sort of move into kind of sometimes allied industries to agriculture, where there are opportunities for promotion and career ladders up to better paying jobs. So my question to you is, are you seeing out there, or have you participated in any kind of project which obtains employment training panel money to help train farm workers either in occupations within the farm, you know, on the farm, or occupations that are sort of beyond the farm, you know, truck driving, warehousing, food manufacturing, which are kind of co-located in the same communities, but have a higher pay and better benefits and so forth?
Hi, so that's a great question. So I want to share that currently here in Ventura County, the FRP has partnered with the Workforce Development for a grant received through EDD, which is called SAL-ED. And it's not a training like you're describing, where farm workers can take a course and maybe, like you said, maybe they want to move up maybe in the same company and work, be a truck driver instead. But this grant, what it's providing is 3-minute videos of topics that we felt that would interest the farm worker. So for example, do you want to learn Spanish? I'm a Mixteco, let's say I'm a Mixteco speaker, and in Oxnard, everyone speaks Spanish. So I'm going to take a Spanish course. Or I want to learn online banking. How do I do that? So those are mainly the topics that, and there's more, of course, there's more, but that's the participation we are having. And I just wanted to share that because your question it's a great question.
Thank you.
I also just want to chime in, you know, there was a little bit of momentum with looking at ETP and seeing if there was a way we could leverage those funds. And I think what kind of stopped us was the commitment from the employers and from the ag employers. And so, you know, we kind of I know that Cesar talked a little bit about developing those positive relationships with them and making sure that we're serving our farm workers and ag employers, you know, alike. But I think that's where we kind of stopped. And we shifted to being able to partner with our community colleges, and then also really identifying what the needs are of the employer and seeing if there's some type of like on-the-job training that could be done or a paid work experience that could be done. But, you know, I'm glad you mentioned it because it you know, reminded me of the time we started looking into it. So it's something we could definitely explore. You know, I think the challenge also is that the trainings aren't in Spanish. And so with the recent grant we received, the National Jobs Worker Program, we're working with our community colleges to figure out how we can find trainers that can conduct some of those programs in Spanish and then can help the farm workers stay with their employer, but just move up. Because I know Cesar's been working with identifying some positions where you need the technical skills, like working on tractors and some of those more innovative machineries that are happening and the way that things are changing in the fields. So that's kind of where we're at with the training part for our farm workers.
Yeah, I just think I felt that over the years that I was there, and I still feel that it's sort of a shame that the farm worker population can't access this money. And of course, you're right, the employers have to commit to maintaining employment, and they have to offer things that, to be frank, they have to offer things that really benefit the workers, not themselves. So, you know, we went through a period where some of the growers said, well, you know, we'd like to train new hires in how to do piecework, which is basically how to work really fast. It's not like necessarily a traditional skilled craft, but it's just basically saying you can earn more money if you work faster. And it was hard to justify funding that because in the end, what they did is they used the state's money to figure out who could work the fastest, which is not beneficial to the general population. And then they just terminated people that didn't, right? And they didn't collect the training money, but we never could see how that benefited the farm worker population. There may be in some of these 24-hour, 24/7 more industrial style parts of agriculture, like mushroom, you know, depending on the crop, and some of these berry crops where they're going all year long and people work all year long. You know, that maybe there's something there, but also I think there is the opportunity to train people to where it's not so closely tied, like through community colleges, to train people to do other things. And you know, you mentioned the one, I can't remember which one of you did, but the woman who started taking classes you know, related to something completely not agricultural, but, you know, computer related classes on, you know, Microsoft training for that. That money is accessible for that. And I think there should be a way to connect up to community colleges and to other training entities that you might not have the wherewithal to create that infrastructure, but they do. You know, like it could be anything like healthcare occupations or other things where there are very long career ladders. And it just seems like our farm worker population is not, we haven't successfully created these ways for people to move up in the economy as much as we should, but anyway.
No, I
But thank
agree.
you
And
for
then you throw the curveball of the demand for the labor. So it's like, maybe we do have some really great employers that will work with us to do some upskilling. But then so many of the employers have such a demand for labor and they can't or don't want to sacrifice maybe some of their best employees, so.
Thank you. I do see Sebastian and Caesar, you have your hand raised. I do want to know, we are right almost at time, and so just want to make sure that we get to your comments.
Thank you so much, Cynthia. I just wanted to, now that Barry brought up the ETP, just for everyone's awareness, similar to the Farm Worker Advancement Program that several of the presenters noted that they are grantees of, Labor Agency worked with ETP to create a farm worker initiative, sponsoring the development of training programs and pushing employers to create training programs that would upskill their workers and also provide them basic skills. So we are working with both Workforce Services Branch of EDD and ETP to direct dollars in that direction of finding ways to upskill workers and not just create training programs that would push workers to work more quickly or really to just create conditions that make their work even more difficult. But these are pilot programs. We are going to be working on. We will be sharing results on what the outcomes are. But there is a lot of work on this, and happy to provide more information, formally or informally, as you all may want. And sorry, just to introduce myself, I'm Sebastian Sanchez. I'm the Deputy Secretary for Immigrant and Agricultural Workforce at Labor Agency.
Thank you, Sebastian. Caesar?
Yeah, just really quick. I think what Sebastian mentioned too is I think with our county, one of the biggest things that we notice here in our county is obviously the labor shortage. So one of the things that we want to do is we want to work with the employers to be able to help them meet that demand. But we also want to be able to use the advantage of the FAP program, the NFJP program that we have, to be able to target more towards the children of the farm workers. We don't realize there's a lot of different careers within ag industry that they can get themselves better that could eventually not only help them, but help their families out and be able to get the training and certification they need to better upskill their skills and be able to take advantage of those grants that we have to then be able to offer the PWEX programs, be able to get them certified for either, for example, you have like the pesticide handler, which they can go and get certified and they'd be able to work with local ag employers to then do preventative work to help the farm workers better understand of how to apply pesticides, how to protect themselves from pesticides. So our programs that we're looking forward is to try to figure out a best way to meet the short-term needs that the farm workers and the employers have, to also be able to then create a pathway for the X and O's to offer solutions to that. So
Thank you all very much. I just want to say really greatly appreciate our presenters this afternoon, and also want to express my congratulations. It appears you all are doing incredibly impactful work and having a very positive impact on the lives of farm workers across the state. And so just want to really uplift and recognize your contribution. With that, we will close out the Q&A session and move forward with the last agenda item, which is public comment. Santiago, do we have anyone in the queue that has expressed interest in making public comment?
Not beforehand, momentarily here. And through, let's see if I see any hands, which you can see too, right? Yeah, no one's indicating wish to make public comment. I do want to point out to folks that the Department of Food and Ag shared a link. They're a partner in a program, a grant program, that I put the URL in the chat, and I'll leave the Zoom up for a few minutes here after we conclude.
Fantastic. And I don't see anybody has raised their hand to make public comment. And so with that, we will conclude our regional directors meeting. of the ALRB. Again, thank you all very much for participating, for asking questions. And as previously noted, the ALRB's regularly scheduled general meeting is scheduled for October 2nd.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Bye.
Thank you.